This is the Eskimo edging stitch or the Eskimo lace edging stitch, and it is in the running stitch family. So the first thing we're going to do is start with a running stitch. I'm working on 2 lines just so you can see it visually. I don't know that it's really necessary, but if you want your spacing to be just so, then 2 lines would work. So I'm just doing a running stitch, and my goal is to keep it nice and even. And so I'm gonna just finish this running stitch. I'm not gonna make you sit and watch that. I've worked 1 line of running stitch. If you're using a line, we are going to come up on the line perpendicular to the center of the gap between our first 2 running stitches. Now your line does not have to be this far apart. It could be closer, it could be further apart. You don't have to have a line. So I'm going to come up. And I did change my thread color. That is not absolutely necessary, but I thought it might be easier to see. I'm going to take my needle under the first running stitch without catching the thread or the fabric. And then I'm going to go, that's from bottom to top. And the next stitch, I'm going to go under the stitch from top to bottom. And then I want to take my needle down in the same hole where I came up. Then I'm going to go over on the line to the gap between the next 2 running stitches, or perpendicular to where the gap is. Bring my thread up. I'm going to go under the stitch from bottom to top that I went from top to bottom on the previous loop. Go down from top to bottom under the next stitch. Pull through and back down into the same hole. And I'm just going to continue this all the way down my line. So under and then back, so it's kind of, well, it's laced. We're going through it both directions. And down into the same hole. So that's that distance. Let's shorten this a little just to see the difference. I'm still coming up perpendicular to the center of the gap between the next 2 running stitches. Go up through the bottom of the first one and down through the top of the second one, back down into the same spot where I came up, and then over perpendicular to the center of the gap of the next one. Back down. Now, if you will do a Google search for this stitch, you come up with a lot of variations on it, and most of them are coming from a blog called quietermoments.wordpress.com from about 8 years ago. The writer of that blog spent days, it looks like, playing with this stitch, and she came up with some really cool variations. So if you want to see some ways to use it, check that out. So we would just keep going until we get to the end. So we just keep making our loops, and when we get to our last one, we make our final loop and knot off on the back.